Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cindy.
And we're here with another Feeding Frenzy for the Master Key System. We're in part 3, number 3.
Okay. The connection between the two systems is made by the vagus nerve, which passes out of the cerebral region as a portion of the voluntary system to the thorax, sending out branches to the heart and lungs, and finally passing through the diaphragm. It loses its outer coating and becomes identified with the nerves of the sympathetic system, so forming a connecting link between the two and making man physically a single entity.
That's cool.
That is cool. So the first time, or number one, we talked about how the cerebrospinal system is the organ of the conscious mind, and the sympathetic is the organ of the subconscious, and the cerebrospinal is the channel through which we receive conscious perception from the physical senses and the movements of the body. And it's in the brain. And then number two, we talked about the sympathetic system is in the, where's it at?
In the gut.
Yeah.
Actually, behind the gut.
The solar plexus. And it's the mental action which unconsciously supports the vital functions. And this one, we're talking about how they're tied together.
That's really cool how they're tied together.
It is cool.
And while you were reading it, I was trying to map it out in the body, and I think, I've traveled this highway before. Do you remember? We went out west. We ended up on this one exit that just kept circling and kept going and you're thinking, where in the world am I? And then it ended up, where you needed to be on the road we were intending. But as I was trying to follow that pathway that you were reading about, I'm thinking, that sounds like one of those interstates.
But now, see, I
think it's cool how they can scientifically prove that they're connected.
Yeah. I always thought of both of them as being, it's the mind, so I assumed both of them were in the brain, I didn't think about it being throughout the body.
Throughout the body.
And
It's
hooking
not
up to
just
all the different parts.
the brain. Or what
But
we
that
call
makes
the
sense
mind.
because our involuntary actions, our heart, and all that is not in the brain. So that really makes sense. But I still thought that the mind was in the brain, so it would send the impulses to those organs. But I never thought about it being in the stomach or in the gut,
Being in two different places.
Yeah. That's
seemed,
cool.
well, we were always taught, weren't we, that it was all encapsulated. And I guess not until you get further into the study of anatomy and physiology that you discover it's actually two separate systems that work in tandem.
Right. I didn't know I had to become a doctor to get this stuff.
I know, but it's kind of cool, isn't it?
It's very cool. It's very interesting to me. Of course, I like the science of it anyway. So it's really interesting how it all works together and how our thoughts are what produce and create everything we have and everything we want and everything we experience.
Well, and I think this is true for every truth that we study. If it's truth, you're going to find the pathway. Do you know what I'm saying? And you're going to be able to find not necessarily the beginning or the end, but you're going to be able to find the connection.
Right.
Right.
Very cool.
And I think that's just cool.
That is good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Stream.